All right, the guys are just coming in with injuries now, or to get their injuries looked at now, so I don't really have a report for you. As far as the game last night, I had a chance to go back and obviously look at the tape, and so you're playing a good football team. You can't have the mistakes that we made in close games. So it's something we can learn from. We'll take from that, whether it's turnover or Super Bowl, whatever it might be, dropped interceptions. We all had a part in it as coaches and players. We can all do a better job and will. There's no moral victories or any of this. That's not how we roll. The guys that were in the game are in there to win the game, and it doesn't matter who, where, when, what. That's how we roll. And the thing that I took as a positive was we play extremely hard and aggressive football, and that's something we can continue to build on. We got to get rid of a couple of these mistakes, and we're an inch or two away from getting the turnovers and the turnover battle flipped around and going in our direction. And into their part, they made some plays, and their quarterback in particular made some big throws and did a nice job. Anyways, with that, time.
Coach, McCoy Harbin only played 9 snaps, and I know he had a pretty good first half. What went behind the thought process of the limited snaps that he got after the first half?
Yeah, there wasn't any real reason behind that. We try to keep the guys on a rotation the best we can, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way with his number being in there. So.
With McCoy fumble that you mentioned, he carries the ball a little bit differently, but it doesn't seem like in the past when you had him, he had a fumbling issue. Was that just something where he doesn't carry?
Listen, that traditionally he has not been a fumbler throughout his career, and he's had the 2 here, and they've come in bad times, right? So, not that fumble ever comes in good times, but he has not been a fumbler, and I would expect it to go back that way.
Coach, you say that there's no excuses, but you've been playing without the MVP, playing without a lot of guys. This has got to be, in some ways, you got to feel pretty good about your effort against a really good football team, and you didn't have a lot of players.
Yeah, well, the positive is the effort, and we can you win games with that, and then eliminate some of the mistakes. So that's a key right now, and I really don't care who's in or not in. I don't get into all that. I expect the guys that are in to go win the game. That's what I expect. So the whole moral victory thing I'm not into. I appreciate the effort, though, that the guys are putting in. We have some young guys that are having an opportunity to play. That's going to help us down the road. And but we've got to maintain the attitude that we have. And as you start getting guys back, they continue on with that same attitude also. So it's and then you've got something going there. And it's not the guys who didn't play. It's the numbers. So you do this thing as a team. So you get kind of low on certain positions, then you don't have that rotation going, and that's the part that ends up being a little bit tough. But the guys battled through that.
Sorry, Andy. I know you said you rewatched last night's game. Based on evaluating Matt, what do you feel like you can build on now, having almost 2 games of film to sort of build on if he is indeed a starter on Sunday?
Yeah, so we're playing a good football team coming up here, good defense, and so we'll go through and look at what they do, study them. We'll come up with what we feel is best against them, and for Matt, if he ends up being that guy in there, and then we go. So it wouldn't be any different if it's Pat, Matt, whoever. I'm sure Matt's going to wake up this morning a little stiff. He took a couple of hits in there and played a full game, which he hasn't done for a while. So, but there's some things that if he's asked to play again, that that you see that he does well, and I guess going back to your point, you can build on some of those.
Patrick told the NBC broadcast that if last night had been a playoff game, he would have been in the game. Is that something the organization would agree with, or is there an expectation that this
Isn't that what you love about him? Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, he was telling me he wanted to go back in after he heard it the first time in the Denver game.
Right.
So that's him. I mean, he wants to slow that down, right? So that thinking at least. And then it's important that the medical people take care of him from there. So that's how you want them. You want them wired that way. You want to play last night. You want, that. Unfortunately, you don't see a lot of that in this league right now. So, not like that out where the quarterbacks were saying things like that, or people were saying things like that. So, but there's a lot of heart. It's normally the people that there's a small minority that that is opposite that thinking. So,
What is the next step in his evaluation process? Last week, he was out there throwing, and I know you want to take it week to week with him, but like this week, what are you hoping to see out of him before you make a determination that this guy is getting closer to return?
yeah, so I leave that up to the docs as far as that goes, and how they and Rick and how they evaluate it, and then past communication with them. I look at the visual part. Can he do the things that he needs to be able to do to play in the game? And then I'm always asking, how do you feel on that? So if I ask, he normally tells me how he feels, and so I probably, add that into the equation. But the docs have to do that. I don't claim to be an orthopod at all. So.
And Coach, you talked about last night, the 4th and 3 you talked about, but was there any thought on 3rd and 3, as good as Damian Williams had looked when he came in for LeSean? Was there any thought about it being 4-down territory at that point, or were you not having those thoughts on 3rd down?
Well, I did what I did. I mean, that's what I did. So played it the way I thought it needed to be played, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down.
Would the decision possibly have been different if Pat had been available on 4th and 3?
I don't know. I'd have to have felt it during the game and see what we had dialed up or available, how we were playing.
Yeah. You mentioned before sort of the eagerness that Tyreek had and sort of his rehab and trying to get back, and you guys sort of trying to talk to him about both the short and the long-term benefits. How much of that do you expect this week with Patrick, understanding his eagerness to get on the field, but also trying to understand what's correct in the short and the long?
Yeah, so those two are wired very similar. And so we talked to them, and everybody's different. But, that's why we don't put a time on guys. You can't do that. So I'd say it's similar from the fact that we'll see how they feel medically. Are they safe? That whole deal. So.
And is it safe to assume or expect that Patrick will be at practice on Wednesday, depending on what he can do?
Yeah, I mean, unless he's cold or sick or something.
Just double check.
Couple more
The
guys.
first time that since he's been the guy that he's had to sit out, I wondered how he handled that during the game, what kind of input you've seen from him during the game, even with the conversations with Matt. It seemed like you guys on the bench together there.
Yeah, he was great on the bench. He's pretty high stride. Pull him back off the field 2 or 3 times. You can't go out on the field without a uniform on. So, just to congratulate his teammates. The reason I was pulling back, but he was into it. He handled it as well as you can. I'm sure he wasn't. He obviously didn't like being in that role, but he handled it well.
Coach, last night we didn't talk about the last 5 minutes much about the timeout part of it. You guys called the timeout at 2:41. It was your last one. What goes into your thought process on letting that thing bleed down to a 2-minute warning and having that timeout afterwards?
Yeah, well, normally you get to that 4-minute mark, and then you start thinking about getting your timeouts and breaking your timeouts. We've got a chart that we work off of, and it's pretty accurate. A lot of study goes into that.
It's right there on that couple of seconds. Is that a really close one when it's right before?
Every second counts.
Andy, after going through the video, would you say there were a lot of things that Matt did last night that you want to see corrected before the next game, assuming he plays? Or did he have a pretty clean game in that regard? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, listen, I thought he played well. For the situation that he was put in. Are there things that he needs to do better and that he'll go back and, yeah, I mean, every player does that, so. But for where he was and what he was asked to do, I thought he handled it very well. And he'll clean up, the other things, whether he's playing or not playing, he'll make sure he gets those cleaned up.
Last one,
Coach,
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask about Chad Henne. How did he look in practice last week, and you imagine you guys are going to activate him this week?
Yeah, so I'll get with Brett on that. I thought he did well. He got, he was a little bit sore early, and but we'll go through and look at that, evaluate that in the next couple of days.
Last one, B. I just want to ask one particular question on a particular play. Early in the fourth quarter was the 25-yard pass to Sammy Watkins that Moore had, where I think it was Preston Smith was coming down on him. When you watch that on film, just how difficult is a play like that for a quarterback that hadn't played in a couple of years, and just to stand there and deliver that ball, the guy coming down, just how impressive was that to you?
Yeah, he had a couple of those. He had the throw to Kels for the touchdown. That was another one. And Kels did a nice job on it, but for him not to get that ball out with somebody right in his face, and the one to Sammy was another one. He had a couple, so that where he had to, he had to throw it on time, trust his guys. Not having played with those guys, but a little over a couple months here, it was pretty good job for him.
All right, thank you.